Australia keeps these 10 countries alive. You won't believe it. One country sends $58 billion abroad every single year, and without it, 10 nations would face economic collapse. That country? Australia. But here's the twist. Australia isn't giving this money away. It's being extracted legally, and the consequences are reshaping the entire Asia-Pacific region. By the end of this video, you'll see why Australia might be the world's most underestimated economic lifeline, and why that terrifies neighboring governments. Let's dive in. But wait, before we begin, please subscribe to ensure that you never miss out on any of my essential stuff. Comment, "I subscribe" below, and I will personally welcome you to our community. With that said, let's get started. Australia doesn't have colonies. It doesn't need them. It has something better: economic dependency. Meet Sione, a 34-year-old construction worker from Tonga. In 2019, Sione left his wife and 2 young kids behind. He flew to Brisbane, started working on building sites, and made $28 an hour mixing concrete under the scorching Queensland sun. Every month, Sione sends $1,200 home, 60% of his paycheck. His wife uses it to pay school fees, buy food, and keep their house from flooding during cyclone season. According to the World Bank's 2023 Migration and Remittances report, workers like Sione sent $8.9 billion from Australia to Pacific and Southeast Asia last year alone. Here's what nobody tells you. That $8.9 billion is 4 times larger than all the foreign aid Australia gives combined. But remittances are just the surface. There's a much bigger force at play, and it starts underground. Timor-Leste is one of the poorest countries in Asia, and Australia is legally taking billions from its seabed. In 2018, Julia, a Timorese schoolteacher, watched her government sign a treaty with Australia over the Greater Sunrise gas field. For decades, Australia had drawn maritime borders that gave it access to Timor-Leste's oil and gas. The UN called it unconscionable. After years of international pressure, Australia agreed to a new deal in 2018. But by then, it had already extracted an estimated $5 billion worth of resources. A 2022 study by the Leo Hamutuk Institute found that Australia's resource extraction delayed Timor-Leste's infrastructure development by at least 15 years. Australia kept Timor-Leste alive by slowly draining it first. But at least Timor-Leste has resources. The next country has nothing, except Australians. Vanuatu has 300,000 people and 0 natural resources. So how does it survive? One word: tourists. Meet Lena, a 29-year-old resort manager in Port Vila. In 2019, she earned $18,000 a year, mostly from Australian tourists who flew in for diving trips and beach weddings. Then COVID hit. Australia closed its borders. Overnight, Vanuatu's tourism revenue dropped 89%. Lena's resort shut down. She moved back to her village and started selling kava root just to eat. According to Vanuatu's National Statistics Office, Australian tourists made up 43% of all visitors in 2019, spending $320 million annually. When Australia reopened in 2022, Lena's resort reopened within 3 months. She got her job back. Her village got electricity again. Vanuatu's survival depends on Australians taking vacations. But tourism is unpredictable. The next country found a more permanent solution by sending its people away. Samoa exports one thing better than anything else: its people. Meet Tavita, a 41-year-old nurse who moved to Sydney in 2015 under Australia's Pacific Labour Scheme. Tavita left behind his elderly parents and 3 teenagers. He works 60-hour weeks at a hospital in Western Sydney, earning $75,000 a year. He sends $2,000 home every month. His family built a new house. His daughter is in university. His parents have private health care. A 2023 Asian Development Bank report found that remittances make up 18% of Samoa's entire GDP, and 68% of that comes from Australia. Translation: Australia is literally funding nearly $1 in $5 circulating in Samoa's economy. Samoa stays alive because its people leave, and Australia profits from their labor. But Samoa chose this. The next country had no choice. Nauru is 8 square miles. It has 12,000 people, and it was once the richest country per capita on Earth. In the 1980s, Nauru mined 100% of its phosphate. Then it ran out. The island became a barren wasteland. Meet Anita, a 38-year-old administrator who works at an Australian-run detention center on Nauru. In 2012, Australia reopened offshore detention centers on Nauru. Anita got a job earning $45,000 a year, triple the local average. But the work haunts her. She processes asylum seekers who've been stuck on Nauru for years, some over a decade. According to a 2021 Lowy Institute report, Australia pays Nauru $25 million annually to house refugees, making up 60% of Nauru's government revenue. Nauru survives by imprisoning people Australia doesn't want. Australia keeps Nauru alive, but at what cost? At least Nauru gets paid. The next country gets something even more valuable. Papua New Guinea has gold, gas, copper, and timber. So why is 40% of its population living in poverty? Because Australian companies own the extraction rights. Meet Jacob, a 52-year-old landowner near the Porger Gold Mine in PNG's highlands. In 2020, the mine, operated by Australian company Barrick Gold, was shut down after environmental violations. Jacob's community had been promised jobs, roads, and schools. They got jobs, but the roads were never built. The schools had no teachers, and the river running through Jacob's village turned orange from mining runoff. A 2022 Human Rights Watch report found that Australian mining operations in PNG generated $4.2 billion in 2021, but only 12% stayed in the country as taxes and wages. Australia extracts billions. PNG gets the leftovers. PNG is resource-rich and cash-poor because Australia designed it that way. But PNG has leverage. The next country has none. Fiji is the tourism capital of the South Pacific. But Australians don't just visit. They own it. Meet Ravi, a 47-year-old who sold his family's beachfront land in 2017 to an Australian developer for $200,000. The developer built a luxury resort. Room rates, $600 a night. Ravi got a job as a groundskeeper earning $8,000 a year. According to Fiji's Investment Bureau, Australians own 34% of all foreign-owned resorts in Fiji, worth an estimated $1.8 billion. Ravi mows the lawn outside villas where Australians sip cocktails that cost more than his daily wage. A 2023 University of the South Pacific study found that 71% of tourism profits in Fiji are repatriated abroad, mostly to Australia. Fiji's economy runs on Australian dollars, but Fijians see very little of it. Still, Fiji chose to sell. The next country was forced to beg. Kiribati is drowning, literally, and Australia is its only lifeboat. Meet Turu, a 33-year-old mother of two who lives on Tarawa, Kiribati's main island. Sea levels have risen 12 millimeters per year since 2000. Turu's house floods during high tide. Salt water has poisoned the soil. Nothing grows. In 2023, Turu applied for Australia's Pacific Engagement Visa, a new program allowing 3,000 Pacific Islanders to migrate to Australia annually. She's still waiting. But if approved, she'll move to Cairns, work as a cleaner, and send money home to her parents. A 2024 UN climate report predicts Kiribati will be uninhabitable by 2050. Australia has committed to accepting climate refugees, but only 280 per year from Kiribati. Australia offers Kiribati life rafts, but not enough for everyone. Kiribati is dying. Australia decides who gets saved. But at least Kiribati is small. The next country's collapse would be catastrophic. The Philippines has 115 million people, and 300,000 of them work in Australia. Meet Maria, a 39-year-old nurse from Manila who moved to Melbourne in 2018. Maria left her 12-year-old son with her mother. She works night shifts at a public hospital, earning $68,000 a year. She sends $1,500 home every month. Her son is in private school. Her mother has diabetes medication. Her sister opened a small sari-sari store. According to Philippine Statistics Authority, Filipinos in Australia sent $2.1 billion home in 2023, making Australia the fourth largest source of remittances to the Philippines. That's $2.1 billion, keeping schools open, hospitals running, and small businesses alive. A 2022 World Bank study found that a 10% drop in remittances would push 1.2 million Filipinos back into poverty. Maria hasn't hugged her son in 18 months, but her family survives because of it. The Philippines needs Australia, but the next two countries would collapse without it. Tonga's economy is 40% remittances. If Australia stopped hiring Tongans tomorrow, the country would implode. Meet Siale, a 44-year-old fruit picker in rural Queensland. Siale works under Australia's seasonal worker program. 6 months in Australia, 6 months in Tonga. He earns $35,000 during harvest season. In 2022, a volcanic eruption destroyed Tonga's undersea internet cable. The country went dark for 5 weeks. Siale couldn't send money home. His wife borrowed from neighbors just to buy rice. When the cable was fixed, Siale transferred $8,000 in one payment, his family's entire survival fund. A 2023 Reserve Bank of Australia report found that Tongan workers in Australia send home an average of 65% of their earnings, the highest rate in the Pacific. Tonga doesn't have an economy. It has an umbilical cord to Australia. If Australia cut visa quotas by 50%, Tonga would face mass starvation within months. But there's one country even more dependent, and it's the most surprising of all. Wait, New Zealand? Isn't that a rich country? Yes, and it's also Australia's biggest economic dependent. Meet Hannah, a 28-year-old graphic designer from Auckland who moved to Sydney in 2021. Hannah couldn't afford rent in Auckland. Average cost $2,400 a month. She was earning $48,000 a year as a junior designer. She moved to Sydney, got the same job, and now earns $72,000 a year. Rent is cheaper. She's saving for a house. According to Stats NZ, 670,000 New Zealanders live in Australia, 15% of New Zealand's entire population. Australia isn't just taking New Zealand's workers. It's taking its best workers, doctors, engineers, teachers. A 2023 NZ Treasury report found that skilled migration to Australia costs New Zealand $4 billion annually in lost productivity and tax revenue. New Zealand prides itself on being independent, but its economy is bleeding talent to Australia. New Zealand is trying to compete, raising wages, building housing, but it's losing the war. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Australia keeps 10 countries alive, not through charity, but through extraction, labor, and control. Timor-Leste's gas, Nauru's refugees, Samoa's nurses, New Zealand's talent. But here's the real question. Is Australia helping these countries or trapping them? Because dependency isn't the same as partnership, and survival isn't the same as thriving. So tell me, should Australia do more to lift these countries up? Or is this relationship already too broken to fix? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And if you want to see which country is secretly keeping Australia alive, click the next video. You won't believe what I found.